Humans are alchemists, and this earth is an alchemist as well, always transforming, always going through cycles, always taking the time and has patience for something to be in one form and completely change into the next. But it needs to actually go through the process.
Welcome back.
Everyone is spiritual. You are spiritual because you are breathing. In Latin, in the language, we can find spiritus, the spirit, the breath. You can breathe right now because you're interconnected to life's movement, because of forces that are visible and invisible around the world, and that enables you to breathe. And you are also creating a movement through inhaling, exhaling. This oneness that is always functioning together in a body, on earth, in the cosmos, that's spiritual. And then we, being human, that's the trip, that's the very temporary experience that we have here. And having this nature of we are all one but all different, nothing, even two snowflakes, look different. It is tricky to feel the oneness, to see that you are part of me, I am a part of you, and that that's the truest truth on a biological, scientifical, spiritual level, and to actually be able to be in a constant respect of everything around and of ourselves, because it's always a mirror. Then you actually need to feel this oneness, and being able to feel this oneness, you actually need to go through all of the feelings that make you feel very separate. When you feel like you are so alone that nothing around you is a part of you and you are not a part of everything around you, then that means that it's the colonial heritage that is speaking. That means that it's the traumatic heritage that is speaking. That is how for thousands of years we have been taught to relate to one another, to relate to earth, to relate to our bodies. And all of these feelings that we are quite overwhelmed right now, it's not against us, it's actually the path through the jungle, because the only way out is through. Well, there's this scale that says high vibration is joy, low vibration is shame. First, to recognize that the conditioning and the internalized education that we've had from colonialism around the world is that when you see a scale and you see up and down, down is bad, up is good, because we have this way of thinking about things that is so hierarchical. And that is how you divide, because you actually think you're different instead of seeing ourselves around a circle. The more you're actually going to feel, because you're opening yourself to feeling the uncomfortable instead of repressing it or hiding it or denying it and going into all types of addiction patterns, or trying to fill addiction patterns, trying to fill a void that will never actually be filled, because we do not feel whole if we are rejecting parts of ourselves. I want you to have so much empathy for yourself watching this video. The container in which the feeling or the emotion is arriving, that's what's going to change. That's what is going to be bigger and bigger and bigger, more trusting that this is actually for the love of your body, for the love of humanity, to feel all of these things. I have actually felt more denser and uncomfortable and mucky, like the big things or things that I have remembered in my life, traumatic things, when I felt safe, when I felt in an environment, whether that be physically, financially, emotionally, where I felt safer. And that's where the body that is actually loving us when it makes us forget things, for example, because it wants us to continue to be in movement. The body, when it remembers, it's also because you are capable of feeling this. So emotion and feelings, it's not because you're going to feel more conscious about yourself and more whole that you're not going to feel that much more comfortable. You're going to feel uncomfortable things, but the container is going to be different. And that's the high vibe. The high vibration is the truth. It's authentic. It's what's happening right now. And we have this way of seeing emotion still as good or bad. And if we do not feel, I know I'm repeating myself, but if we do not feel everything, then we are disconnecting from ourselves. Disconnecting from ourselves means that we're disconnecting from another. It means that we're disconnecting from Earth. There is a lot of fear around feeling all of these things, and that's why we need to be so patient with ourselves. But it's also because we have this misrepresentation of what spirituality really is. So we're going to see this person on a yoga mat, often a man, who's just witnessing his thoughts and his emotions and being calm. That is like high vibration. The mother who is breastfeeding her child, who is in connection, who is giving and receiving at the same time, and is this life loving, nurturing, in connection moment. It can be really hard. It can be really uncomfortable. It can be painful, but she is doing this spiritual work. She is also remembering the oneness by doing that. She is being the oneness. We are here to connect because we are always in connection. We do not feel connected to each other. We do not feel empathy for each other. And we actually want to reject others. So the disconnect actually makes it hard to have peace with the whole because you don't even know what the whole is. 4 years ago now, I started biodanza, which is putting your body into movement. There's not a mirror in front of us. It's not a choreography. There's always music. Calm or active bodily propositions will bring movement into you, and an emotion will emerge. And we do it in a group because the group is where we belong. If we were doing this alone, it wouldn't have the same impact. So I was proposed the seed. So I was in this little bundle, the fetus position. It was on the music Winter of Vivaldi, and I was supposed to grow into a tree during that proposition, during that song. So there was a circle around me. First, it's how the seed comes out of its shell. It's a struggle. In nature, it struggles. We were born here, and even during our birth, it's a struggle for the mother, it's a struggle for the child. Even if it's very peaceful and it doesn't take a lot of time, it's still a whole thing. It is challenging. So the seed needs to come out of its shell before it starts to grow. So since I had let myself, with myself, cry and really go there and really grieve at a level where I had never let myself go there, because or I would be too crazy, or for sure my life would stop, or I would be judged by the people around me. And often when you're afraid of judgment of others, because you're also afraid of your own judgment. So I was letting myself and showing myself to everyone around with my eyes closed in the seed position. Feel these things that I had felt for 2 years. Like I was in my bed alone and feeling so separated from the world, so in a void. And then I opened my eyes a little bit and started to grow. And everyone around me were growing with me. And in the eyes of every person, we were maybe 17, tears were also coming down. The support of 17 people, allowing the intensity, the pain, the grief, and the beauty, because it's moving. We all, on a beautiful song or beautiful theater play, you're going to be moved by the humanness of each other, by the life, the vulnerability of life. I was being seen, and I was seeing how, first, I'm not the only one who's feeling this. Second, there was witnessing, there was compassion, there was love, there was tenderness. No one was there like, no, don't be that intense, or oh, stop it, or oh, I'm gonna have to find a solution for you because this state is like way too uncomfortable for you. I was just able to be, to have whatever was arising arise, and there was a support of my growth by becoming the tree. And I, after that day, was able to be so much more compassionate. I felt so much more tenderness around me when I would go through moments. We are always learning through how people treat us, how to treat ourselves. But because it's always a dance, I actually owned my emotions because I was like, hey, this is super important. Like, I need to let myself have, thunder is arriving right now where I am. I need to let thunder be. I can't always be a sun that is shining with blue skies because that's not sustainable for the earth. That's not sustainable for all of our crops. We need rain.
I love this image because it's actually what we think is chaos that is nature's order.
It's actually feeling, it's actually being in the chaos that we are, and we remember that we are nature. There's such a force, there's so much power, and if we don't actually feel it in our bodies, then we create things outside of us that resemble a storm, like dropping bombs. We do not own the beautiful, perfect chaos of our bodies. And then we are surprised that we do not understand Earth and we do not know how to live with her. There's this book that is called Be, Feel, Think, Do, offered by a friend from the author Anne Bérubé, a Québécoise author. We're much more in the doing because we're always thinking, and the intellectual mind is also, it's incredible how I'm speaking and the light is getting dimmer because there's the storm coming and I'm hearing it. So we run into our intellectual because the body is too uncomfortable. So this is where it's important to have empathy for ourselves and the people before us. I have never been modeled by an adult in my life a sad day, that they're going through something, that they're processing something. I have seen people who judge themselves because they felt sad or depressed. I have seen people say that they never feel sad, or like when you feel angry or else you need to snap out of it. But I have never seen an adult have a container where the feeling can come, and it's, since the container itself is safe, then everything can be. We allow everything to be there. So it's something that is modeled, but it's also something in the body. So all of the traumas that were lived from our grandparents, our parents, and before still live in us. And often in your life, you're going to have events where it's going to trigger these emotions that they felt. But if they were always shushed or hushed or repressed or embarrassed because of feeling, they put it in a dam. And imagine that dam, when it's your turn to actually feel, you're not just feeling the water that is you, but you are feeling the water that is everyone that came before you. So it is really, really intense. And that is why it's also important to know that you are capable of letting that water pass. And that's why that you can't just heal in one day or 1 year or what. It's a process of the body being ready to feel it. So it's also where patience comes into play. Whether that it be survival, or also being productive is survival for financial reasons, or also because you have such an identity with your value with work that if you would stop and feel, maybe you would need to take a break from being as productive as before. And that makes a whole world crumble. So if today you are able to feel, then have empathy for the ones who did not have time to feel. We do not know what it is to feel and to be in their own bodies. There's this analogy. Poop isn't toxic. Poop actually needs to come out of ourselves, because that's, again, the movement. We take things in, we give things out. Poop gets toxic when it stays in. Nothing is horrible in itself. If it gets blocked, then the toxicity might arise. And now the wind is like blowing. Lastly, this image of colors. This is really it's oversimplifying it, because you are here to be the rainbow. Everyone has all the colors within them. But for example, you're here to, whoa! My chairs are blowing in the wind, so I need to bring them in. Cheers. Okay, I think I'm gonna actually show you what is happening, because this is intense. Whoa. Wind. Look at that. Look at that. This is what's happening inside of us all, okay? There's so much grief. And now it's starting to, there's literal, I don't know how to say that in English, but it's ice. So, if your ancestors were the color blue, for example, and you need to make the color red in your life and turquoise. First, you see that if you have this blue in you that you don't actually let out, then you will never be able to be red, because it's just two complete different colors. Like maybe you'll be able to make purple, but it will never be just red. So first you need to clear out the blue. And if you are also turquoise, you also see that you need the blue to make turquoise. It's the green and the blue together. So it's never a curse what happened before us. It's never a curse what happened before in our life. It's how those colors, we let them move so that other colors can emerge and we can make new colors. Humans are alchemists, and this earth is an alchemist as well, always transforming, always going through cycles, always taking the time, and has patience for something to be in one form and completely change into the next. But it needs to actually go, it needs to come out of its shell. I love you. I am glad that you're here also during the storm with me. And if there's a storm inside you, I just want you to take your arms around yourself and trust that this container that you are bringing into your life, that might have not been there for the generations that were before, or that is growing, that be patient with that and make it a container that can let all the storms in the world pass through you, but also because if we can hold it for ourselves, that's where we can hold it for others. And in that, when you don't shame someone for feeling something or think that they shouldn't be feeling that, etc., and you actually meet them there and you actually show that there's a space, that it's completely fine, that it's there, and that's also where we come back to oneness, because we feel that we are not alone. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I'm wishing you a colorful moment of life. I don't know if you saw that, but the lightning just struck. Okay. Bye.
Is the sun is